Hey folks, this is Kalani. I wanted to talk more about champion farming, because basically when this was first announced I proposed essentially two ways to farm these champions. The first was dungeons and the second was in open world. Now, the main thing that was considered in open world was location, and Queensdale came up quite a lot. Now, I'm gonna first say I've decided that open world is most definitely both more profitable and basically, well, you get more boxes per time, so it's more efficient if you're farming the boxes as well. So not only do you get more money straight up, you also get a higher chance at any of the skins because you're opening more boxes. You also get a higher chance at any of the lodestones because you're opening more boxes and that kind of deal. So dungeons, whereas for the first run you're making a bit of gold, after that not worth it at all, meaning that to farm them for champions I personally do not think is worth it. Feel free to throw some numbers at me on that one if you disagree, and I'll happily throw some numbers back. But for open world, now I want to have a quick look over at Queensdale. Now the idea here was that there was a lot of champions, and champions which are very easy to kill. Troll, Oakheart, we had the champion, obviously, the spider, and the wasp and boar. Now, the problem there is that things actually, we didn't get enough information. So basically what happened was we ended up with different quality of boxes. Now I've got some exotic boxes here. Exotic boxes drop tier 5 and tier 6 materials. Anything lower drops lower. So a white box will drop tier 1 and 2. A blue is 3, I believe, and then it basically goes up and up and up. And there's all different varieties or rarities of these. The problem is that a lower monster level than 80, or you'd probably get away with around 70 or so, does not guarantee an exotic drop, which means you're not getting tier 5 from that drop, and potentially you're not getting a chance at your skin. I can't confirm that, but it seems a little strange to me that a white level 10 champion box would drop a level 80 exotic, but obviously there may still be a chance there. But you're not getting your tier 5, which severely limits your profit. No chance at tier 6, and obviously then no chance at your lodestones, which could be a whopping 2 gold, 30 silver, obviously if it was charged. So, where did this evolve to? This evolved to Frostgod Sound and Cursed Shore. Now, the reason for that was plenty of champions, all level 80. Now, that's basically, or maybe not all level 80, but they all drop exotic boxes, especially in the case of Frostgod Sound, rather. They may not be level 80s. So, what developed was a run in Frostgod Sound from Fish over to Coden, into Norn, to a undersea worm, then all the way over to come back to do Troll, porting down to do a Broodmother, with a chance at a Quaggan, and right now the Etherblade event, because that Etherblade event can spawn a champion. Now there's also a champion around here, but that doesn't seem to be included in the runs anymore, which is interesting. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guaranteed champions, with a chance at another one and another 2 potentially. So that's 6, potentially 8, which means obviously 6 boxes. Now this run will usually take about 8 minutes, 9 minutes, potentially going up to 10, obviously higher if you don't have a large circ, which actually falls short of Cursed Shore. Now the difference being you get different boxes. With the Kodan or the Ice Broods you get strong boxes, and with the Risen and Cursed Shore you get coffers. Now these do have different drops, so in the coffers you have a chance for Entropy and Genesis, and in the strong boxes a variety of things including Cobalt and the Crystal Guardian. Now they're the ones which are obviously worth the most. So how do we determine which is the best farm spot? Now I'm gonna go out on a leg here and say that it's Cursed Shore, mainly because of the route. Now while you do end up porting around a lot, which is kind of annoying, we'll get to that a little bit later, but you end up going for Archmage, Baron, Giant, Scorpion, and then either resetting from there or every other run going down to Shark. So it's actually the same amount, it's 6 or 5, but it's faster. It is a lot faster, especially if you have a Zerg. The problem is that Frostgorge Sound doesn't have any events. Now you can see right now that Pentient Waypoint is contested. While that's contested, champions will spawn. Now, in a 5-minute defense, you'll usually get around 7 champions. So that's another 6 or 7 boxes if you manage to tag them all and get credit. Now that can happen at Shelter's Gate Waypoint as well, but the main farming area for Cursed Shore, it's actually Anchorage Waypoint right now, because usually Joe Fast is bugged, so we'll forget about that for now. Anchorage Waypoint spawns Embers. Now, these spawn up to 20, 25 Embers, potentially even 30, depending on how fast they're killed, and obviously the size of your Zerg. If you manage to tag them all, that's 20 plus boxes in 10 minutes of defending. That's 2 boxes a minute. That's ridiculous. Now, you may be asking, well, what's the point in these champion boxes? And the reason is, you've got very, very high profit here. And I'm not even talking about potential profit, I'm talking profit. Now, every time we open a bag, we get a bit of silver. Now, 6 silver, 6 silver, 6 silver, 4 silver, this can go up. 8 silver, okay. So there's a bit of variety there, but it averages around 6 or 7 silver. Now, if you take that into account, every cycle you're getting 6 boxes, we'll say. 6 boxes at a rough 7 silver each will net you just over 40 silver. 40 silver for 8 minutes? 7 minutes work? That's kind of ridiculous. Then you add on top of that the Gilded Strongboxes have a chance to have Cobalt and Crystal Guardian. That's a lot of potential money. And that's not even comparing it to the Gilded Coffer, which you can get Entropy or Genesis. Genesis is still above, or it was still above, 200 gold. If we have a quick look-see at that. Genesis, just under, but more or less 200 gold. So if you end up with a Genesis from a Gilded Coffer, you're just swimming in gold right there. But the key about Cursed Shore is that whereas in Frostgorge Sound you only get Gilded Strongboxes, in Cursed Shore you get both. The Embers over at Anchorage Waypoint. Now, that's a lot of noise. The Anchorage Waypoint spawns champion Embers. The Embers drop Strongboxes. So, whereas you're getting a regular farm of Gilded Coffers, you then get Spike farm of Gilded Strongboxes, meaning that you've both got the variety there in Cursed Shore, and you've actually got more champion boxes, which means more of this guaranteed money, more of these greens, which you can obviously sell to a vendor for nearly 2 silver, some of them, and you've got the variety on what you can get as well. So you have a chance to get the Crystal Guardian, and you have the chance to get Genesis, which is why I think Cursed Shore pulls ahead. The problem is that you have to port around. Now, if we take going back down to Baron, now the problem here is that I'm going to be loading, and now while I'm loading, people have potentially already run off. And if people have already run off to Baron, that means they might get there first, they might start it first, and if you're a slow loader, you potentially don't even get a hit in before it dies, which means you get no champion, or rather you get no loot on that champion. And then if we go over to Giant, once again, I'm loading. People are probably loading faster, running off to Giant, and if people don't wait with the commander, or if the commander's not even bothered, then you're going to end up losing a lot of loot, which is obviously not ideal. So if that's happening to you, I'd recommend going to Frostgorge Sound, or going between Archmage, so you'll wait up at Archmage for that to come up, and then you'll actually skip Baron and go down to Giant. Now from there, you can go to the Scorpion, and when that is basically nearly dead, make sure you get your loot and then go straight back up to Arch. If they're going Shark, that's a decent opportunity for you, because Shark does not die very quickly, but you want to make sure you get at least Arch and Giant. That way you're getting a decent amount of the coffers, but every time Anchorage comes up, you want to head down there as well. Anchorage is where the main farm is right now, and I actually kind of dislike that. At the moment, Anchorage waypoint is only good for farm because you fail the event. If you go ahead and complete the event, you've got 3 hours for basically Ara to completely fail back to the point where Anchorage waypoint becomes contested, and then you get the escort back from meddlers. So by failing the event, you're getting more farm. ArenaNet have already said they don't like that, and have actually already said that there's going to be some change. We don't know what the change is, but there's going to be a change to stop this snowball. So when asked on the forums, they replied yes. So not entirely sure what kind of change we got heading our way, but right now, if you want to get on the champion farming, head right down to Cursed Shore. Learn the route. Remember, Archmage, Baron, Giant, Scorpion, potentially Shark, if not reset to Arch. Every time that the escort comes up from meddlers, you want to head down to Anchorage. This is the best place to farm right now. You get guaranteed money, you get a chance at ridiculous spikes in gold, and you also are happily filling up your materials. Now, this is just another video in case anybody was wondering what the champion farm was about and where's the best place to go. Once again, it is reliant on you being able to get to the champions. So if you're farming, or rather if you're loading slowly, your farming is going to be slower, and to kind of get around that, you can skip 1 or 2, especially Baron, because Baron goes down so quickly, and people do not like waiting, it seems. But people have already thrown out some numbers about this, and you can get a ridiculous amount of gold. People have been farming this with some lucky drops, have ended up with 600 gold over the course of 2 days, just farming Cursed Shore. Now obviously that's with getting a few lucky drops, but I mean, I personally haven't had any really good drops, and I've ended up with another 100 gold after spending all my gold. So that's only with like a few hours of work each day. I mean, I am here quite a lot, as some of you have noticed, but to the point where you can make a lot of gold, I'm really not that bothered. At the moment I could be running dungeons, I should be running fractals, but I don't know when this is going to get nerfed. If this gets nerfed and basically it becomes unprofitable, that's going to be a problem for me because I've missed out on a lot of gold, which really annoys me. Even if it's kind of bad with the Anchorage waypoint, I don't like that farm, but I'm going to do it anyway because it is so profitable. There's no chance that there's going to be heavy repercussions from doing this, but I mean, I don't understand what they'd do if they completely nerfed it into the ground. They wanted people to farm champions. We're farming champions. And I guess it's making a bit too much gold. But right now, it does make a ridiculous amount of gold. Once again, you can head up to Frostgorge if that's kind of a nicer approach. It's usually a smaller Zerg. It's quieter. It's more or less guaranteed that you'll get more loot. But Cursed Shore is definitely the way to go if you want to min-max your farming. Just hope for a Genesis and you'll be swimming in gold, let's be honest. That's a ridiculous price right now. But just in case anyone was wondering, they're my thoughts. Dungeons, out of the way. Frostgorge, not entirely worth it. Cursed Shore is definitely where it's at. What's going to happen if Cursed Shore gets nerfed? Probably head over to Frostgorge Sound, I'll be honest. If that gets nerfed as well, I'm not entirely sure. I guess we'll have to find a few more champions out in the world. Hopefully in the higher level areas. There's champions out there, we just have to find them. Thanks for watching folks, good luck and have fun, and as always, I will see you next time.